got inflation through the roof. We've got spending through the roof. Currency value seems to be dropping. Interest rates are going up. Stock market is in the doldrums. So what do? Pessimism is on the increase. Let's get some answers from one of our esteemed regular contributors. He is the president of Americans for Tax Reform. So welcome back to the program, Grover Norquist, who is with us this morning. Hey, Grover, good morning.
Good morning. Very good to be with you.
Hey, thanks for the time this morning. So are we getting ready to face an economic hurricane?
Well, it certainly looks like that. All the decisions that Biden and the Democratic leadership around him have made have really looked like they were plagiarizing Jimmy Carter's playbook. Jimmy Carter inflated the currency. He got up to 10, 11, 12% inflation, 20% interest rates. We're kind of in that direction in terms of where Biden's overspending and printing of money are taking us. Also, they shut down energy efforts in under Carter. Remember, he told us to wear cardigan sweaters instead of heating our homes during the winter. And now we may have brownouts and blackouts as a result of not having enough energy because they're shutting down coal plants and waiting for green energy that doesn't work very well and only works when the wind is blowing or the sun is shining, which is not always.
And you know what is also a similarity, Grover, is I remember back in those days we were begging OPEC to produce more. And now that's what we're doing, begging OPEC to produce more and looking at getting production from Venezuela and Iran and other bad actors. And the insanity of it is, why don't we just produce more here, Grover?
Because they don't want to. They actually consider the high oil prices and gas prices to be a good thing. Remember when Biden's Secretary of Energy, former governor of Michigan, was asked, what are you going to do to get these prices down? She laughed in the face of the journalist. Because when they talk about how this is transition, this is not a transition to lower prices, right? It's bumpy, but we're transitioning to lower. We're transitioning to higher prices with less secure energy, with energy that only runs when the wind blows and when the sun shines. And it's a transition to, for some reason, a completely politicized and subsidized energy industry rather than one built on real investment and real jobs.
Yeah, and our state here in Louisiana is hurting. I know many other states are hurting as well. So, Grover, an answer here would be to open up the Keystone Pipeline, get back to drilling, get rid of these moratoriums, and unleash our workers and our industry again, right?
That's exactly what we need to do. The challenge is Biden, his control of the government is weak. Okay, he has the White House, but the Senate is 50-50, and only with the vice president do they have control. And they're about 3 votes up in the House of Representatives out of 435. So here's his challenge. He's got a coalition that sits around a table, the trial lawyers, the labor unions, the big city political machines, the teachers unions, all the radical environmentalist groups that don't want any energy. Remember, they didn't even want planes when they explained what their real program was that the rest of us were going to. They want to take everybody's guns away so nobody can defend themselves. They have a wish list that offends most of Americans, but they do have a lot of money, and they contribute and make sure that Biden does everything they want. On Biden's wish list is to shut down charter schools. 3 million American students go to charter schools, and the teachers union made every Democrat who ran for president swear privately, not publicly, but swear that they would shut down all federal aid to charter schools, and to make it very difficult for a charter school to start, because you'd have to get permission from the failed public school next door, who's most likely to say no. So
that's so infuriating. They seem to be going after things that work and trying to push things that have been failing us for decades. It's just absolutely infuriating. This gun control is just the latest, I think, wrong-headed direction that we're going. Let's talk about how the American people are feeling here. According to Gallup, their economic confidence index measured a negative 45 in May, down from negative 39 in each of the previous 2 months. So we're becoming more pessimistic, right, Grover?
We are, and he's blaming the American people for not realizing how wonderful it is. Well, their wages are going up more slowly than inflation. We're supposed to say thank you for that. He likes to talk, oh, the wages have gone up. Yes, they're worth less than the paycheck is worth less today than when Biden became president, even if it's a growing paycheck, because inflation's growing faster. People are correct in understanding the price is going up, that they're in a weaker position than they used to be. Now, we're still standing because we have the Trump tax cuts, but Biden wants to undo those, and then we'd really be uncompetitive in the world.
Yeah, let's talk about his plans because I think at a time like this, we should be cutting taxes,
Yes.
but he's talking about raising taxes. Which taxes does he want to raise, Grover?
Oh, 35 different taxes, 11 of them on energy. Okay, he has a plan to get energy costs down. He has a plan to fight inflation. It's raise taxes on energy. He wants to raise, if you have a carbon tax, that raises the cost of everything that uses energy in the country. It adds, obviously, to inflation, makes us weaker than the rest of the world, a real disaster. I mean, there's some very, very challenge. All of the tax cuts he recommends will reduce employment, reduce wages, and slow down innovation.
We had heard a lot about Build Back Better, but are they trying to achieve Build Back Better through other means, Grover?
Certainly, in regulations, they're doing a lot of what they hope to do in Build Back Better through regulations. That's slower. They can be undone with a Republican president. They can be stopped by courts saying, you can't do that. If you had a law, you could do that, but you can't do that through the bureaucracy. So trying to go through executive orders takes longer, doesn't last as long, can be challenged by courts. I'd much rather have him do that because we can take it away from him. Laws are much more difficult to fix going into the future. Right now, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to pass much in the way of laws. Although Manchin, who had been holding steady and fighting against tax hikes and spending hikes and craziness, and who ran for office promising he'd never raise taxes. He said that, when he was doing his debates and so on. Now he's talking about $1 trillion tax increase. So they may get a smaller, if $1 trillion can be thought of as smaller, $1 trillion smaller than $5 trillion, a smaller version of BBB, which could still do some very real damage.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, any kind of tax increase at a time we should be cutting taxes would be doing damage. In our final minute, what should we look for from the Federal Reserve? Can they make this situation better or worse? And what do you expect, Grover?
In order to make inflation go down, they are going to slow the growth of the money supply, and that will contract the economy. When Reagan's Fed contracted monetary supply, we had a very steep recession in 1981, 1982. But because Reagan cut taxes in January of 1983, when the tax cuts took effect, we saw strong growth, 4 million jobs created, 7 years in a row of strong economic growth. Biden's Fed says they're going to slow down the growth of the economy and contract the economy. They're bracing people for fewer jobs coming up and less growth because of this. But he doesn't have anything to fix the growth part. All he's going to do is slow things down with the money supply. He doesn't deregulate, which Reagan did. He doesn't lower taxes, which Reagan did. He's just going to cramp the money supply, which is necessary because otherwise you have runaway inflation. It gets really, really, really bad. And he started too late to do that.
Grover, we'll be watching all of this. Thank you so much for your expertise, and we look forward to visiting with you again soon. These are tough times that we're dealing with economically, folks. We've got to hang on and hope for better times ahead.